Sergeant Lawrence Bromer, United States Army, Vietnam. Sergeant Bromer and I have known each other for almost 20 years. I interviewed him the first time in Sunrise, Florida. It was actually 18 years ago today, the 21st of February 2007. And that was the first interview. And I just recently came back from Florida this past summer in July, and I interviewed him and several other veterans at that time. But I did a second interview with him. His daughter was there. It was a great time. And I was in Cocoa, Florida. It was July 5th, day after Independence Day. And we did about an hour and 20-minute interview. It's just awesome. He's 78 years old during this interview. He turns 79, I believe, on June 1st. And but we had a great time, and I'm so happy. My heart's full. So happy to bring this second interview. A lot of you watched this first interview. He was drafted into the Army, and he went to Vietnam November 66 to November 67. 11 Bravo rifleman infantry, but also a radio man, RTO. So he did a lot of things in Vietnam, saw a lot of combat, saw a lot of action. And one of these great stories, through his eyes and ears, we get to hear it again. And he said a lot of things he didn't say in his first interview. So you're going to be blessed. That's going to be a treat for you, all you that watch the Vietnam stories out there. So I'm really excited about this. I believe he was wounded at one time, so he probably got a Purple Heart. And I know he's got some other medals. I just don't remember exactly what. But decorated soldier, Vietnam. And he was 20 years old when he went into the military. So just God bless you, Lawrence. I just love you, brother, and just so happy I get to share your second interview. He served with the 25th Infantry Division, infamous division in Vietnam, 3rd Brigade, as we watch this story. So I want to thank Mike and Sandra Potter. They are the couple that brought me to Florida in July. You guys, I love you guys. I hope to come back and maybe minister again at Pastor's Church, Pastor Jay Frazier, who I interviewed in July, and you've seen his story here, Jerry Duncan and Bob Tucker. So these are some of the stories that came out of those interviews in July. It was really hot. It was really humid. It reminded me of what they would tell me about the blast of heat when they would get off the plane in Vietnam for the first time, the humidity. But I'm sure it was a lot worse than what I experienced. But it was a great time. So, but Mike and Sandra, thank you guys for supporting the work that I do and for loving our veterans. I know, Mike, you have a lot of military history in your family. God bless you, sir. And I hope to see you again, hope to come down again, and we'll do this again. So, but thank you, and I know the Lord will bless you for helping with the veterans. Amen. Okay, folks, this is a ministry. What can I say? Voices of History Radio is still going strong. I hope to keep it into a 3rd year in March. We'll find out soon. I'm trying to raise some funds for that to keep it on the air, but I know some of you have given towards that or donated. You can go to larrycapetto.com and donate to Voice of History Radio. It'd be greatly appreciated, so we can keep it on the air. So many people are being blessed and helped, and I want to keep it going into its 3rd year, so your help will be greatly appreciated. Want to also let you know, if you go to the main channel, Voices of History, you will see a playlist, and I have several public playlists. One of them is Vietnam. I'm beginning to add now. I'm going to add all the Vietnam stories, so there'll be hundreds of them eventually, but now there's about 100 in there. But so I want you to know that's on the main channel. If you don't know how to get to it, send me a message and I'll show you how. But there's other playlists there too, but I think a lot of you will be interested in the Vietnam stories. And in every one of my videos, in the video description, there's a catalog of all my films. So if you want to know where's a catalog of Larry's 1200 videos, you just click on more underneath the video. It says a little link that says more, and a box drops down, and you'll see those links in there. So you can click on the catalog and see all the videos I've done since this channel started about 12 years ago. So, okay, that's it for now. God bless you all for watching, listening, sharing these videos. I hope you share them, and subscribe to this channel. Let's keep it going. And Alvin, I hope we get to 100,000 views this year. Subscribers this year. So, okay, that's it, folks. It's late. Let's watch Lawrence Bromer's second interview from Florida in July 2024. God bless you. So, when you were drafted now, did you get to pick an MOS or you just 11 Bravo?
No, they picked it for me, 11 Bravo.
Did you know what that was?
At that time, no, I didn't. Eventually I found out what it was, but I didn't know exactly, just.
Well, that's a thought I've never even had. All the interviews I've done, when you enlist, you kind of pick your MOS, blah blah blah. But when you're drafted, it's just like, it's.
You take those tests and then they decide what they want to put you under, and I guess 11B40 fell out, and that's what I was, and I through basic and then to advanced infantry training. So when I went to Fort Polk, Louisiana, going to AIT, I kind of felt that I was going to go to NAM because it was advanced infantry training. So, and I ended up in NAM.
And you're 20 years old?
20. Mm-hmm. Yep. I turned 20 on June 1st and went in on June 2nd.
And this was what year again?
1966.
So 66 to 67?
Right. Mm-hmm.
1 year.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you remember? We were talking about it, but when you first got to Vietnam in country, I'm assuming you went over on a commercial airliner?
Yep.
With a bunch of other guys that you probably didn't know?
Didn't know anybody in that. Because you didn't go over as a unit or platoon or anything, you just went over as individuals. And we flew out of Seattle to Hawaii, and then one thing I remember about Hawaii, the most beautiful voice I've heard in my life was this lady talking. But evidently she was a good-looking lady. She sounded good. And we landed in Saigon. And I think in the last time we spoke, I saw flashes going up in the air, and I go, hello, what's going on? I thought it may be artillery or something, but it was actually lightning. But that was frightening then, just to say, oh boy, what am I getting into? And after we landed, and then we took a little a ride, and we went about, I guess, 30 miles or something. It was nighttime too, and went into a, let's say, a base camp that they would assign you to different units or different companies, and we stayed there, and I ended up still remaining to be 1140, 11B40.
So when you get to Vietnam, though, how are you assigned to a unit or a company?
They just call you out and say, hey, you're going here, you're going there, and I just ended up, I thought I was going to probably end up being something like a clerk or something, because I had typing background experience in high school. Nope, 11B40. It's a 25th Infantry, Company A, 14th Battalion, I think it is, a 3rd Battalion. And, but you don't have any choice.
Okay, say that again. You're with the 25th Infantry.
I think 25th, and I have it on my phone, but
And
the 3rd Brigade. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of weapon did you have in Vietnam?
I had an M16.
Okay, you had an M16.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All the stories that I've heard over the years, just, being a young man in war, and of course Vietnam became an unpopular war, if there's such a thing, but were you scared? I mean, that sounds stupid to ask that, but I mean, and then your baptism under fire, I mean, as it were. So walk me into that, how that first happened.
Was I scared? Yes, I was scared. At that time, I was actually afraid of the deceased, or dead people, really. And the first one I saw was down a trail. We were out on a patrol, and a radio came back to, hey, there's a dead cook up in front, and my heart just started boom, 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 boom. And you couldn't move because the trail is only so wide, right? So you're gonna walk right past him. And when I walked past him, man, there was big bugs coming out in and out of his chest, going back in. And I go like, this is crazy, right? But that was my first experience of seeing a dead person over there, and it didn't look good. But I got past that, and then just had to take day by day then. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Were you ever able to help any of the wounded, as you would see wounded? I mean, medevacs or on the ground, were you able to do anything for anybody?
Only the deceased. When I've never helped, actually, I've seen them pass away as a medic was attending to them. But the deceased, so forth, getting them out depends on where you were and where the chopper could come in and make a temporary LZ or something, to carry them out. You put tie some shirts together, and you just take them, make a slings out of them, and take them to the chopper. Sometimes you're 300 feet, 600 feet. You could be, depends on how deep you are in there, in the jungle. But that's the closest. But just watching someone, it's painful. But at that time, it really doesn't hit you because you're still in battle, per se, you know. Afterwards, after that battle is over, or that firefight is over, that's when it hits home. Oh my God, I could have gotten killed. And like I said, I lost my cross in that one particular firefight. At that time, I was a radio operator and RTO, and we got disconnected from the second platoon. I was first platoon, so I had to try to find the second platoon, just going through the bush, trying to find him. Finally, we connected together, but just doing that alone, like I said, afterwards, it hits you. It's like, God, I could have gotten wasted, but I just prayed, and God kept me going. And that particular time, another one, I think we had two we killed, and one happened to be a paymaster, believe it or not, and it was MPC, military pay certificates, spread out all over the ground. And one of the little privates picked it all up, and he gave it to the second lieutenant, right, at that time. I go like, hey man, you put it in your pocket. Only kidding, but he did. So you know where that money went, right? Yeah, but no, it was quite a journey, that one.
I'm just reflecting back on our first interview, and I've done so many interviews, Lawrence. It's like I feel like I was there, you know, through your eyes and ears. I mean, through the eyes and ears of all the veterans I've interviewed. And I was just a little too young for Vietnam, so I never, you know, had to experience that. And but I just try to imagine, you know, it's been it's getting close to 60 years ago for you.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know if the memories fade. Sometimes maybe they do, but were you ever troubled by Vietnam after you came home? I mean, did you have PTSD?
Yeah.
So how much do you have like a disability percent?
Right. Mm-hmm. At that time, they only gave me 20%.
Okay.
Right. And which was standard when I first getting at it, but it's something that now it became common, so everybody says they have PTSD. You know, they got the knees bruised, bumped the elbow, and I got PTSD. Some of them never been in war, believe it or not, and they still say they had PTSD. I had a little bit of it, yes, and the dreams and stuff. Memories came back to you. But I also ended up with Agent Orange, which was really a beer. I mean, and I know you've been around, so you've heard the stories of Agent Orange and how many guys it affected. Unfortunately, it affected me in my heart. I think it affected me earlier, but I didn't realize it because I didn't know anything about Agent Orange. And I think it was like 1974, 75, my left lung collapsed. And when I went to the hospital, the tech says, wanted to know if I had a hole in my chest. I said, I don't think so. I've ever been shot. I said, not in my chest anyway, right? So I made it through that one, and then I guess a few months later, my lung collapsed again. So they had to do a surgery, and they call bullets on the lung. Patty Hearst had the same surgery back, if you're old enough to know her. So they went in and they stitched those little spots in my lung. Never had any problems about my lung since then. But come 1995, I had a major heart attack. And actually, one young man worked on me for an hour and a half. And that's well documented, by the way. And thanks to the grace of God, I made it through that. Even though my wife told the doctor, he said something about prepare for the worst or the bad or whatever, good or bad. And she says, the devil's a liar. She told the doctor that, okay. That's when my heart went bad. So years go by, and keep monitoring my heart. And I think 2001, I filed for the claim for Agent Orange. And at that time, I wanted to say, why can't I go back to 1995 on a claim? Because I could document it, right? No, it's the day you file the claim. I have an issue with that because how could you file a claim if you don't know? You know, how did you know you had Agent Orange? So I finally got Agent Orange. Now I'm 100%. But since then, just for I guess 2023, I'll just give you the biggies. 2023, I just couldn't breathe. Really, I went to ER and they had to eventually put me on a ventilator for 3 days. Okay, and that was a struggle. And a month later, around February 12th, I believe, her birthday, my daughter's birthday, the same thing happened. I had to go on the ventilator again for 2.5 days, right? At that particular time, the doctor told my wife that your husband only has 2 days to go. Really. And guess what? I'm still here. At the same time, my wife was having some issues with her in her chest and heart. They didn't know what it was, and eventually they found out on July 4th or July 3rd of 2023 that she had a severe problem called amyloid, right? It affected her heart, and she passed away 20 days later, and I was supposed to be going before her. And I think about that, and I'm pretty sure my kids think about it too, that hey, my dad, the doctor said my dad's going to go, and now I lose my mom before him after 57 years of marriage. Yeah. So that's a tough one. I'm still going through that now, but with the help of my children and friends and God first, that I made it through that. It's still, that's in my mind a lot. But, yeah.
So how much did your faith have to play in your role when you were in Vietnam?
After I lost the cross, and I had a cross and a little Bible, it was a minister or a prophet, I should say, that a lot of the older folks believed in. And one of my aunts sent me a little red prayer cloth and a little white Bible, right? And I kept that the whole entire year I was over there. And I kept it dry. I kept it dry, and a picture of my wife and my daughter. And for the entire year, it did not get wet. I had about double plastic over it, but it made it through the war. But God was with me then. I mean, after you, and then I got shot when I got wounded in May 6th of '67. That was a situation. I got shot at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I wasn't on guard duty that particular night. Actually on my air mattress, and platoon sergeant was here. I was on one, and we had made contact earlier that day, and we went up on the hill. And so 3 o'clock in the morning, they just decided to come up and fire a few rounds. I caught one in my left foot, straight through, and one in the air mattress went. Psh. So I was supposed to be on point that morning, going down the hill. The sergeant that took my place on point, he got right in front of a hedgerow, and Charlie just right up, reached him about 20 rounds. His name was Sergeant Fanning from Seattle, Washington. And that I remember more than anything, that because he took my place, basically, And I did have an opportunity to speak to his mom over the years, about 10 years later, by going online, going on the wall, the Vietnam Memorial Wall, and it gives you information on different people, and I found his mom. So I actually called her and said, what happened. And she was nice that I called. And she was a lady that sent the care packages, and she continued to send them after he was gone. Yeah, the good old spam in a can, spam and Vienna sausage.
How did you become an RTO? I mean,
well, because of my voice, and I actually enjoyed that, even though you were a target, because if you're an RTO, usually it's an officer around you, okay? And I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed talking on the radio back then. But it was a lot of fun. Dangerous, but a lot of fun. You had to have some kind of fun in it. But no, I enjoyed doing it.
So what was the most difficult thing you experienced in Vietnam?
Just walking in the rain and the heat. I mean, you would walk all day, you'd dry, and then as soon as you were pull up for the night, it just starts pouring. And it rains all night long, and you're basically sleeping in mud sometimes, and mosquitoes and the leeches, that they just attack you. You have a mosquito repeller, but it doesn't do any good. Mosquitoes look as large as a fly, right? But that was the toughest part, and the heat, and not being able to bathe, because you could go 10 days, without getting a change of clothes, depending on where you were, what mission you went on, how long you're going to be out. And but that was tough. It was really tough. And I've had my trousers ripped all the way up to here, and I would get them when they bring out hot clothes to the boonies. They drop them, and I'm being a small guy. Here's the underwear. The size I pull out a bag. It's 50, weighs 50. Well, I could wrap that thing around me twice. Really. But you would find someone else that that was larger, and we'd swipe out. But that was hell. That rain and the heat. Yeah.
Now, what part of Vietnam were you in?
Pleiku.
Okay, and
July.
right. Okay, and then you're fighting the Viet Cong?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How close did you ever get to them, or did you see them?
Oh, come close. I've seen them walk down the trail right by us, and actually, one came down. We were on a trail one day. He just literally walked up to us. Basically, he did a U-turn. He really did a U-turn to get the heck out of there. But and one time it happened. The M16, whoever was on point that day, the M16 wouldn't fire. It jammed, so he couldn't have killed the dude if he wanted to. Yeah, it jammed. And the rain and the heat, more so the rain, that M16 was bad. You could clean that thing every day, and it might jam on you. Yeah.
So they didn't have uniforms, did they?
No.
So they're out during the day?
The NVA, North Vietnamese.
Yeah,
they were the
regulars. Yeah,
right,
they
right.
Did you ever encounter them?
No.
Not where you were
No,
at?
I did not.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. No.
So, but the VC, I mean, you guys called them Charlie?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I hear they're out plowing the field during the day and shooting at you at night.
Yep. And you don't know because most of them dressed in black pajamas, even the ladies and the kids too. And that's when it became really, because you didn't know. We call it mama-san. You don't know what mama-san might have, and some of the kids you don't know. I mean, I saw one lady, she was dressed to kill. She had everything on her. But that was scary, because like you said, they're out and you going across a rice paddy, you in the open. You're in open field. And when they start shooting, all you can do is duck and hit the ground, because you have nowhere to go. You don't have no coverage at all. And it happened once, I remember too. The guy in front of me, he had to be 6'2", 200 pounds, and I was right in front of him. And Charlie started firing from a wooded area. And I think today God put me down before the bullet got there, because he got hit right in his upper thigh. And he was a big guy, and he started crying like a baby. And I said, man, I wanted to slap him and say, hey, man, that's a ticket out of here. But it was like crazy. Yeah. But just, and you get in a situation, prior to that night I got wounded. We were a sniper. And when you run into snipers, you don't know where they are, right? And this sniper had an area of about 3 or 4 feet. And anything crossed that area, he would nail you. And actually, he got the medic going to try to help someone too, just in that little area. Yep. Yep.
Was there a worst combat firefight that you were in? What was maybe the worst battle or skirmish you had?
Would have been probably prior going up. Like I said, when I made contact that evening, or the one with the paymaster. I guess it was a paymaster. Yeah. But I didn't go into that many of them. But thank God. But that was one of the worst for me that I remember a lot about. And obviously remember when I got shot. But going down the hill is when we got down the hill that morning, that was hell, because they had an ambush waiting on us. So you're helpless then. And actually we had hot chow that same night, just to regroup here. And the chopper was coming in to pick up the containers, empty containers, and also pick up me. And as soon as we hit the bottom of that hill, man, all hell broke loose. One young man had about 8 days left in country, and he got hit right in the jaw right here and just ripped it off. The only thing that saved him, because he jumped up, it scared him so bad, I guess, we had a chaplain traveling with us that day. But that was bad. I mean, when you got ambushed, but you don't know what's coming, it's like bam. And I fell down. We shouldn't say this, but anyway, an old lady got in the way of us when we were going up that afternoon. And when it hit the fan going down, when we got down that hill that morning, I fell down right by the lady. And she was deceased. And I'm going like, hello? Really? And that scared the heck out of me too, right? Like in my necks. And I got one boot though to my shoulder. I couldn't run if I wanted to because I had some morphine in me, but I still wouldn't be able to do anything. But that was a bad experience.
Did it ever become routine, or was every day just a different day?
It's like a routine, going out, walking for so many miles, going up on hills that nothing's ever been there in the life, right? Or I forgot who did they fight? They were in war with someone over there, and you go on a hill, 300 up, and nothing's been there. So I said the intelligence was bad, but it became routine going on. It's heat, rain, heat, and until you get on R&R for that 7 days. I went to Japan, which was a break, but it's a routine that you just learn to live with after a while, because you got to do it, and you know how long you're going to be there. So I spent about 40 days in the hospital, but I went, when I went back I was in Cameron Bay in the hospital there, and you go through classes or stages, and as you get better, I think it was the reverse. If you're in 3, you're bad or whatever, and I got to stage 1. So you can go back to your company, Bromer. I said, oh, okay, fine. Because, no, they wanted me to pull sandbags, and I felt that Cameron Bay didn't deserve to be sandbags because this was on the water, basically. It's a resort. And so I said, send me back to my company. I got back to my company the first day. When I got there, hey, you got duty tomorrow morning or tonight. I said, no, send me back to the field. That was a mistake, because when I got back to the field, I got shot at like 5-6 days in a row every day. I said, well, let me get back out of here. But I made it through that, but I went to get my wound checked out in Quignon, I believe it was, where the hospital was. And some young private at that time, we were all privates at one point, he told me all I needed to do was wash my foot. And I just looked at him, because you're telling me I should wash my foot. I barely had water to drink, right? So I just said, nope, do my N16 back here and just walked out, But it was crazy,
So you were shot in the foot, or were?
Yeah.
Okay. 40 days in the hospital.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, and then back out to your unit.
Yep, back out. By my choice, which I regretted, because I got shot at all those times afterwards, Yeah.
So your tours 1 year, and the R&R you mentioned, I didn't think a lot about that, but that's a point that everybody got at halfway through. You knew you were going to get out for a little bit.
Right.
See, I don't hear much about that. I
7
hear a
days.
whole year,
Yeah.
short term, you get out. But
Yeah.
so going to Japan for a week, you probably didn't want to come back to Vietnam, would you?
No.
So what do they do to say, okay, Bromer, time for you to go, and you go to R&R?
Yeah. It comes up on the schedule, you go.
Did you meet your wife
A lot
there?
of guys went to Taiwan. But the problem is, if you meet your spouse there, you definitely don't want to go back.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't allow that too. I don't think they're allowed that, even though they probably wouldn't know about it if they find out. But they would. Went to Taiwan. Beautiful ladies. They want to get married and all this stuff, and because they're good-looking ladies, and a lot of them. But I went to Japan for this. I guess it was 7 days, and I think I said in the last one I bought a watch and some silverware or something for my wife. And I didn't spend all my money. I did spend quite a bit, right? And you go to a bar and they set you up, these young ladies, good-looking ladies in Japan, right? They set you up, and you go to a bar at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to have a drink and sit with some girls, and you're all happy until about 6 o'clock, and you say, how much is the bill? Oh, it's $400. And they say, well, you can pay with MCP, American Express, you name it, they could take it, right? So what do? You sit there any longer? No, you get out of there, right? So as we were walking out, me and another dude, and we were walking out with some Navy guys walking in, and they started laughing because they know we got we got it. I go, okay. So I learned from that, but yeah.
Oh my goodness. So when you're in Vietnam now, did you have what they call a short time calendar? What do they call that, DROS?
Yeah, well, I had on my helmet.
Okay.
I had a calendar on my helmet, and I was tracks the days, 30 days, and boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, your Agent Orange exposure, was that just over time, or was there an incident where...
No, you don't know.
Okay.
You can't pinpoint where you actually got it. At first, I think they tried to pinpoint it where you weren't entitled or you weren't exposed to because you were in certain areas and you had to say where you were at that time. But I think it was just spread out totally over there. So you didn't know where you got it from.
Tell me what Agent Orange is.
It's actually a chemical, and they drop it in drums. Orange drums is what they drop it in, and that's why they call it Agent Orange. And it will kill you. It will not only kill you, it actually just paralyze you, a lot of your organs. I mean, every vital organ it's going to hit eventually.
But we dropped the Agent Orange, the Americans.
I don't know if they re-dropped it. Yeah, it was something they dropped.
So it's something,
it wasn't. It's the Americans dropped it, yes.
Is it a defoliage? Did it kill the vegetation?
Yeah, it was supposed to be for the foliage.
Not for the people?
No, not for the people. For foliage. The jungle was so dense. Mm-hmm. So they said, well, we're going to clear it out and give you areas to operate in, but no.
That's what it was supposed to be for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And napalm's something completely different.
Napalm is white Peter. I call it Willie Peter. And I had
white phosphorus?
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. I had some dropped in front of me about, 30, 50 feet maybe. And all you can do is put your head down and pray, because those jets just come down and they're back gone, and it'll burn everything near it. It's going to burn it. But they come in to try to help you. Sometimes they're on, and sometimes they're not. Yep.
Well, the napalm strikes, those were our guys.
Yeah.
And those were when maybe you're being overrun or something, they would throw...
No, it depends on where you are. That particular time we got it, I think it's at the same time we ran into the sniper.
Okay.
So they were just trying to pick this guy out of the woods someplace, wherever he was, just burn him out. But I don't think we ever killed him. Yeah. I think he just disappeared somewhere, because they're in trees, they're in holes, anything. They're in holes in the ground that you can just walk right by. And I've been in some of those holes with a 45 and a flashlight. Mm-hmm. And that's no fun either. And you get down there, you don't know what you're going to find. You don't know if you're going to come out. But these guys are probably most of them were a little smaller than me, so they could get in a hole and they can just stay there for a while, for a long time. Mm-hmm. And we had one guy that stayed in a hole. We probably put 300 rounds in that area. And guess what? On 301 round, he decided to poke his head out. Okay, and he came out. We threw grenades and everything in there. When he came out, this one guy got shot in the butt. Another word for it, I won't say it, but anyway, and we thought it was funny at that point, but it was just one guy. Mm-hmm. He did a lot of damage to one person.
Mm-hmm. I know this sounds kind of childish, but you shoot at the enemy?
Yep.
Okay, so you were... Mm-hmm. I'm thinking World War II a lot of times, even mm-hmm. Korea, where there were lines drawn, right. and mm-hmm. they're advancing.
No lines.
Yeah.
No lines, no.
Yeah.
A line was your kitchen sink. Your sewer line, they come up out of it. Because there was no lines. I mean, they had hospitals on the ground and all.
Yeah.
Really. So you could go, and you don't know who's going to come out of the hole. So you don't know if they're friendly or foe.
It's the uncertainty of war. I think that would drive you crazy. Mm-hmm. A lot of what you describe with the VC, to me, sounds like what happened in Iraq. The uncertainty, the insurgents. Mm-hmm. Don't you think there's some similarities there?
I don't, because of the conditions there. They were in the desert versus the jungle. You know.
But just the fact that there was no uniform enemy, there
Yeah.
could be a kid, a woman out during the day with an
Right,
RPG. You know, I mean, you don't really know.
But not to the extent it was in Vietnam.
Okay.
Because you're dealing in a small little towns you go in, or little villages. And when you go in there, you don't know what you're going to find. Usually you go in a village, you'll find old ladies and children. And so you feel comfortable, but that's not a good feeling too. Sometimes it can be all hell in the village.
Yeah.
And so you go in with with your pants down, you may stay down. So that's the scary part of villages going into. And sometimes the little hooches they're rigged. I mean, with booby traps. And they booby trap a 155 millimeter round, artillery round, and they booby trap that thing. It'll go off. They put a little wire on it, like a piece of string or a piece of, like we call string wire. You can't see it because it's so thin. And you trip it, and you're gone, boom. Yeah.
Have you been to the Vietnam Wall?
Yes, I have.
How many times?
One.
Do you remember the emotion that you
Yes,
felt?
I did.
Tell me about that.
It hurts when you see someone, especially if you know them, we're close to. And the situation with me was more because of that one, the Sergeant Fanning, that I said saved my life. And that's the emotional part right there, just seeing his name. And that brought back the memories of that whole incident, you know, or that old firefight. But no, it can be, you just, you know, you get emotional a little bit, you know, but I made it through it.
Did you go by yourself?
No, my wife.
How many kids do you have?
3.
Did they know about Vietnam when you came home? Did you ever talk?
Well, when I came home, it was only one. She was 11 months old when I got
Well,
back.
even as they were
You
growing,
mean now?
as they were growing up, and even now.
Not really. They do now. Over the years, we talk more about it. I think they've seen the video a couple of times. They talk
Of
more
your
about
interview, the first one? Okay, good.
Yeah. I did one in Tampa too a few years back, and they watched it. And my son he actually was a golf veteran also. He spent 4 years in Army. He was in tanks, armored.
How did you feel about him going? Were you supportive of that?
Yeah, because I don't know, for some reason my dad was in the military. When I got drafted, I figured, hey, you know, I got drafted, I gotta go. Right? And so when he volunteered to go, and I said, if that's what you want to do, son, you do it. But after 14 years, he didn't like it anymore. He said, I'm out of here. But he was in Desert Storm. Right? Yep. 1999, 90, 91. Yep. But he doesn't talk about it that much. Usually if we get in a conversation, I'll tell him the Iraq War was a toy war versus Vietnam. Because it was over like bam, it was over, you know. And look how long Vietnam lasted.
What was your rank in Vietnam again?
I made sergeant while I was over there.
Okay.
Went over as a private, made sergeant before I came back.
Did you have a platoon?
No, I wasn't platoon because I said that to him the last time, but no, I was just squad leader, okay?
How about, did you receive a Bronze Star?
No.
Okay, so
No.
you never. Okay. Coming home, do you remember your last day in Vietnam?
No.
You don't?
No.
Really?
I really don't. No.
Well, how'd you get home?
I remember my landing in Guam, right? But Vietnam itself, maybe I had my eyes closed, but I was so happy to get out of there. But I landed in Guam, and in Guam, I think liquor was cheap, so everybody bought liquor on the plane and all this stuff. And the next stop was Seattle, Washington. When you departed the plane, it's 300 guys. Everybody's going in different directions. And you're so happy to get there. And then I took a plane to New York to Kennedy, JFK, and took a cab home. My wife didn't even know I was coming home. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. But the actual leaving Nam that day, I can't even remember thinking about it. I never gave it any thought. I gave it thought when I got to Washington and in Brooklyn or New York.
So how were you welcomed? Were there people protesting at the airports back then?
I didn't see any, you know, and I've never ran into any protests myself. Yeah, you run into people that you can have a hat on that says Vietnam vet or whatever. They look at you like you're strange. You know, you're a stranger in town. What are you doing here? And even today, you still do it. Some people acknowledge you, some people don't. And even on Veterans Day, same thing. Some people just don't acknowledge you. And I was telling my daughter a few weeks ago, I ran into a guy in a little store. He was there prior to me walking in, and he was a vet. I think he was anyway, but I had a hat on, and he didn't say anything. Obviously, he didn't want to speak, so I didn't say anything to him. But he left the store before me, and when I walked out, he was getting in his car with a DV plate, disabled vet. So here's one vet don't want to wait. So I go like, it's sad, but it's still out there, It's really still out there. And sometimes I just don't get it, why, Because if you're over there, you're together, you watching each other go to the bathroom, right? You need them to go to the bathroom with you in the boonies.
Yeah.
But that's just our country and the makeup of the people.
So you didn't have to experience a lot of that, the horror stories of those guys coming home being spit at, cursed at, called baby killers?
No, I've never never been that.
Yeah.
No, I guess it may be because of where I was at in New York, it wasn't that bad, or where I worked, it wasn't bad. So.
Have people thanked you over the years for your service?
Yes, yes, yeah. And like it's hit and miss. And some people walk by. A lady, I stopped in a Publix yesterday, and she said, "Thanks for serving," and she said, "You deserved it." I said, "Thank you" back. She said, "Oh, you deserve it." And but you don't know who's going to say thank you.
The sergeant, what was his name that saved your life, you said?
Fanning.
What, excuse me?
Fanning, F-A-N-N-I-N-G.
Okay.
Right.
Tell me again the situation, what happened, and how he saved your life.
Okay. I got wounded at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was going to be on point that morning, point going down the hill first, and they were coming in to get me and empty containers when we had hot chow that afternoon late. And so instead of me going down the hill first, he went down the hill. When they went down, Charlie had an ambush set. When that chopper started to hover over a little bit, that's when Charlie opened up, and he caught like 20 rounds, and I guess we had about 3 or 4 other guys got wounded. The one I was telling you about, that this whole side of his face was like almost blown away. And the chaplain grabbed him and pulled him down. I did see him probably a couple of days later in the hospital. They had his face back up, the jaw and all back up, but I don't know. Then I never saw him before, again. Never saw him again, but at least he was alive, But that was, God was with me on that one, because I could have been there where Sergeant Fanning was, and I would have been there if I wouldn't have gotten shot.
And tell me, did you ever go on any combat assaults with the Hueys helicopters?
Well, that's actually what it is when you go out on a mission.
Well, tell me about that, your interaction with the helicopters and how often you did that.
The helicopters, they're just going to tell you to get the hell off, all right? Really, you're going to get off because they start hovering. You don't have a choice. You're going to ride back, and they're not going to let you go back with them. And the problem is you don't know what you're jumping into sometimes, and you can drop in the brush at 12 feet high. But the chopper's got to leave, and they just drop you, and they're out of there, And
But tell me, Lawrence, what it's like waiting for that pickup. I mean, you're getting ready to go, and then the insertion.
That's you start thinking, what are we going to? Are we going? We're not going on vacation, guys. You're telling you got to be prepared. Once you get off that chopper, you don't know what's below. So you get your nerves. You get nervous until you hit the ground. Once you hit the ground, you kind of like get your thoughts back together. Hey, I got to get it together here. And some guys would, pot was over there, and some guys smoked that stuff. But when I became a squad leader, I said, hey, no pot. Because I say you'll do something stupid, it may get me killed. And most of them, I'm young, I'm 20 years old, I had 21 before I came back. And I never had any problems with the squad I had listening to me. Everything I asked them to do, they did, which was, you're talking 21-year-old talking to a 20-year-old and an 18-year-old or a 25-year-old. Some were older than me too, but no disrespect from any of them, which was a blessing, because that can be a problem for you, especially if you're a young guy, a young sergeant or whatever, because they think, well, he got there, he became sergeant before me, that type of thing. Jealousy sets in. But no, not a problem for me over there.
But you did a few or a lot of helicopter assaults. I mean,
Well, every time you went on a mission, basically it was helicopters. You know, you have a fire base, and they decide you're going to go to North Cocoa, and you got to go by helicopter. They're going to drop you there, and sometimes you will find your way back by walking back, but they'll drop you on a mission, and sometimes you were at a mission for 10 days, 5 days, whatever.
but during those helicopter assaults, were there times where you went into a hot LZ or they were shooting at you?
Yep. And that's no fun. 'Cause
Yeah,
you
I
got to
mean-
get off, right? You got to get off that chopper, and then you just establish where you are. Try to establish where you protect as much as you can. But like it's scary, because bullets coming at you, man. And like I said, the choppers just drop and leave.
So you dropped off. Were you ever involved with any medevacs, taking the wounded out?
No, just me. Yeah, this the one I was on.
How about today? If you hear a helicopter, does that trigger anything?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. That brings back memories because it has that unique sound. Actually, one flew, about 4 or 5 of them flew across the house, my home. I think it was one day last week, and they were in formation, like 5, together. And I go, wow! I'm back in now. Really, it hits you when you hear helicopters because they Huey has that sound.
I can imagine that would have triggered something. Wow. What about the fireworks, like the 4th of July? Does those explosions bother you when
It used to, right? Because when I first got back, I'd heard a car backfire, it hit the ground. Now it doesn't bother me that much because I know what's fireworks and what's not. Because we heard some last night, and I knew it wasn't fireworks. Like the AK-47 has a unique sound to it. You can pick that out. You can pick that sound out. And pop, 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 pop. And we heard that last night, and my daughter and I told her, I said, that wasn't fireworks. It was someone just shooting up in the air, and they don't care, and what goes up will come down. Yeah. But no, I'm not, that doesn't bother me. I can watch them now, but if something happens all of a sudden, I'm not expecting it. Obviously, it's a fireworks show, you're expecting to hear that,
Right.
so you've already got your mind set, it's going to go off. But if out of the blue, if someone popped a firecracker or something, I'm in a store, then it's going to hit you. You know what you're going to do then. And that happened too a few weeks ago back in a Publix. Somebody dropped a smoke bomb. Really? Can you imagine what the people went through there? Yeah.
Yeah.
That would scare the heck out of you. But it never happened to me. But I heard about it.
So Independence Day, freedom. What does freedom mean to you, Lawrence?
Freedom for all men, for the country, for all men, not just this country, the world, and we got freed as a country. It was our country was freed, but I look at it as a total picture of just not us, American. It's freedom. If we're free, we can help free the rest of the world. And I think that's what we're trying to do now, even though we hit and miss what we do. Sometimes I think we get involved in situations we shouldn't get involved with. But it's going to be wars, and God says there will be wars. Rumors of wars, and there will be wars. But freedom is just having the right to be able to do as you please without breaking our Constitution, whatever. But the Constitution now is not the Bible anymore. Everything in the Constitution now is getting to be opposed. Everybody, well, it's in the Constitution, but we can't change that. But they're finding loopholes in things now that, okay, everything now they're just picking apart. And you look at the situation with, you have a Supreme Court, but their decision doesn't mean anything anymore. So you say to yourself, what do I need a Supreme Court for? It's crazy when you think about it. You have a Supreme Court, 9 judges, bam. They make a decision. One party starts calling the Supreme Court bad guys, they don't know what they're doing. So why do you need them? It's supposed to be the law of the land. And it's sad when you think about it. 'Cause
Yeah.
you don't. People get off at little things now because of all the loopholes. They will find a loophole. Man, you sneezed in the wrong way. Well, he sneezed at the hearing. You know, we can get you out of this, buddy. Right? It's crazy.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Did you experience any kind of segregation in Vietnam?
Not over there, really. No, because we were protecting each other.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think I felt it more when I was coming back home. I could feel it then. I felt it on the airplane. It was like the airplane. We went half and half, you know. And I've been never believed in it. It didn't bother me even being brought up in the South. I just felt that God gave me the heart that I recognized everybody as a person, and I didn't see all of that stuff, you know. And if I saw it, I probably just let it went by, and I didn't dwell on it. I know it was there, but I didn't dwell on it coming back home because I could see, like I said, it's on the airplane. You know, all of a sudden the seating, you know, it's like we're at the back of the bus type thing, right? But that's a subject that a lot of people have problems with. And they can't just say, let a man be a man, and you judge that person. You can't judge a group. And that's what happened in our country. We're still judging a group of people. We're still doing it now. We're singling out groups of people for a group of folks, right? Yeah. And that's scary. That's sad too, you know? But I didn't personally, and in my life I have experienced it, not military, but I had one lady that when I used to sell to this one company, and I spoke to a buyer there probably every day almost, and I'd go through his secretary, and he decided one day I was going to take him out to lunch. And literally I went to take him out to lunch. I got in the lobby, and I asked the lady, I said, I'm here to see Tony Dada. And I said, I'm Larry Bromer, because I was using Larry then. And she says, you're not Larry Bromer. This is the truth. Really, she says, you're not Larry Bromer. And I go, yes, ma'am, I am. But that was one episode. Another one, a lady called, she started telling me, she said, if I had my way, I'd send all of them back to Africa. But not knowing who I was because of my voice, right? But I've had stories like that. But it's still out there. Yeah, it will be, you know, but you learn to live with it. And especially if you're from the South, you definitely lived with it. And I did. But I don't, you know, I know it's there. You got to continue to live. You can't dwell on it. You know right from wrong. And they're the ones that got to face the man above. As long as you do the right thing as a person.
What does the American flag mean and represent to you?
Oh, my country, it means a lot to me, you know. And I fought for it. When I was in high school or in school, the flag was not supposed to hit the ground. It wasn't supposed to get wet. They had somebody on call all the time. If it started raining, they go grab that flag. And to see people just sit and say, well, the flag's going up, we're not going to stand, that irks me when I see that. And it should irk any veteran. It should irk any American, true American, because that's your flag. Yeah. People fought and died for it. But some people just don't care. It's about trying to do crazy stuff, get ahead or whatever, of publicity too. I guess they have different reasons that they want to sit and whatever. And then you have the ones that follow them, and they're just as bad. But no, it means a lot to me. I have one flying at my home right now.
Me too, brother. Me too. You're 79 now?
No, don't put me there.
Oh, he's
yet, Larry.
past or 79. You're 78.
Yeah, I'm 78. Okay, yeah, well, don't give me that extra air.
I'm not going to do it.
Please don't.
So tell me though, someday when you're gone, which I hope's not for a long time, but what do you want your family to remember about you?
My personality and my love for people, and I think they all know that. I'm a very passionate person. Sometimes they say I'm not a good listener because I can pick apart something very quickly and know what the decision's going to be. So I said, move on. Let's not even go any further with it because I know it's going to be a bunch of whatever. And that, I think they will remember more about me, just being an honest person and passionate, very passionate person. Sometimes not a good listener, right, Thais? My daughter.
I had a Korean War veteran in Maryland years ago. His name's Ed Ilgen Fritz. He was a Korean War veteran in the Army, and he was a believer, but he said that in combat, he was talking about dying. He says, I'm trying to remember what exactly he said. He says that, people die in war, people die in combat, and he says, some people don't think about that, and they also don't think about, like where you go when you die. And I think of all those young men that have fought for our country, and that have that didn't make it, and then those that did make it. But is there really? I wonder if they really give thought to life and death on the battlefield, or is it just if it happens, it happens? Or do you ever feel invincible?
I did, like I said, I didn't think of it as a firefight was going on, because you can't think of it then. If you do, you're going to just get in the hole and just be quiet and just lie there, So you have to take focus. After the battle is over, is probably when you will say, hey, I could have gotten wasted in that particular firefight. But no, not me. I didn't get that way. While it was going on, I had my head on straight. And that I can remember for sure. And like I said, I had to go through the brush trying to find another platoon. And I wasn't thinking about death at that time, because if I was thinking about death, I wouldn't have done it, right? And the death that was called that particular day, we lost 2 guys by friendly fire, right? Because one colonel decided to go up and call in some artillery to help us. And guess what? One of the rounds came right in on us, on the machine gun and his assistant. And one was 22 and one was 19. One from California and one from Oklahoma. Right? And they got wasted. And I think one died first. I watched him. One died first, and I think the second one he saw went in the shock, so he just went too. But no, you don't. Me, I know I didn't think of it then. I think of it afterwards, though. Like when I lost the cross afterwards, a few hours later. Oh, what happened? Yeah.
Well, you tell your story very well. I've interviewed many Vietnam vets who are still troubled today. I mean, you could see it when they talk. They're just they're suffering today, even all these years later. And then there's those that have been through combat. They came home and maybe they don't think about it much. So it's interesting to me as a storyteller, historian, that I would think it would be life-changing, just being shot at, being in a situation where you don't know if you're going to come out, and then I guess thanking God that you did come out.
Right.
But has there ever been any survivor's guilt with you of surviving, and those that died, and why it wasn't you?
Well, that one particular one, the Sergeant Fanning.
Right.
Yeah, that one hurts, because that I think of all the time. Right? When I look at a picture sometimes, his name just pops to my mind. And like I said, I probably wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for him. But so far as the others, you knew it was war, and people are going to die. And we're talking about wars now, and you look at innocent civilians getting killed now, which I think is terrible. But yeah, you say people are going to die if it's a war, but some people don't need to be dying now in the couple of wars that we have going on now. It's sad that we have the type of wars. In today's age, 2024, 2023, I mean, to have wars now and just see cities and towns totally destroyed and bombing schools and hospitals, that's not real, man. It's God. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I know there's some evil people doing it, but some good guys are doing it too. And I think I understand their reasoning. Maybe I don't agree with their reasoning, but it's because they're in a situation they have no choice. You can get in a battle. If you don't shoot back, you're going to get killed. And that's the situation in one war over there. If you don't shoot back, you're going to get killed, or you're going to get blown away. So they have to take it and run with it.
We're just about done, but I want to just comment on the fact that you're featured in my Vietnam film. That's had over 3.5 million people have watched that over the years.
Yeah.
And how important do you feel it is for you to tell your story, and then for maybe our younger generation or just our society to hear these stories? How important is this?
I think it's important. It's history, and I've sent it to quite a few people, and some say, "Hey, thank you for sharing it with me," because they'd never heard the stories before. They never heard about Vietnam. Vietnam was like, well, Korea was like this, but Vietnam was quite. People didn't talk about it,
Yeah.
and when the kids need to learn about it, and they can understand what good times and bad times are. They don't know what hard times are. Because it's not being taught anymore, and you're teaching weird stuff in school now instead of doing history on wars, and kids probably can't even tell you how many states there are. And if you ask them the capital of Washington, they'll say, I don't know, there is no capital of Washington, right? You know, they don't know. But I think it's important. I think they should know. And if they get different stories, you know, from different people, different perspectives, they'll learn something from it. But war is hell. Mm-hmm.
How is your health now? Are you okay?
Nope,
No.
I'm not. I'm doing well because of watching my diet, watch what I'm eating, but I'm not a healthy man. My heart functions anywhere from, I guess it's about 10 to 15%. So I'm just struggling there.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Oh my goodness.
the average person would say, what am I doing here? Because if you look at me on paper, people are going to say I'm out of here.
What are you doing here?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing here, Lawrence?
Yeah, right. I'm here because you
There's
invited me.
There's a reason.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And that's the reason you want to do it. Our Heavenly Father. And He's keeping me here.
Are you ready to go though if it's your time?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not afraid of that?
No, I'm not afraid. Because if it's my time, I just don't want to suffer.
Yeah.
But being in the hospital, I was in the hospital for, I guess, 20 some days, trying to, they wanted to replace one of my valves. And the evaluation for that surgery was probably 20 days. And they tested every part of my body, literally every part of my body, from here all the way down to my big toe. And that was brutal, just getting that done to get the LVAD. But what happened is that I lost weight, too much weight on because of being on the ventilator twice. So they decided not to do it, okay? So, but that particular, if they were to replace the thing, my wife or whoever would have had to gown up every morning, be sterile, gloves and all, to really clean that wound every day, 7 days a week. And that would have been a lot on anybody, whether wife, girlfriend, or whatever. So, like I said, they decided not to do it, which I was happy in a way that they didn't do it, because I started thinking about this too, and thinking about someone that had to do it. But what they did in an alternate, they did something called a cardio MEMS device.
Okay.
They put it in my pulmonary artery. It's about, if you look at a light bulb, you see little wires in the light bulb. They implanted it in my chest here, right here on my left side. And I sit on what they call a pillow, and I get a little wand and put it here and turn it on, and it reads the fluids in my chest. Yeah, technology. I have that on this side and I have my defibrillator on the right side. Yeah.
Do you have to take medicine for your heart?
That's not the word. A lot of medicine.
Yeah, okay.
A lot. Probably about 15, at least 15 pills every morning. That's not including the vitamins, like 5 vitamins. And
I'm sorry to hear all this.
yeah,
Man.
and at one episode I had in 2014, I thought I was still young. I got in the ladder to try to get some decoration for Thanksgiving. I fell off the ladder, popped up here and popped down here, went to Tampa General, stayed in there a couple of days. But that morning prior to that, I got a call from the VA that something was going on with my defibrillator. But I had to put that on the back burner because I fell off the ladder, right? So I go to Tampa General, spend 2 days in there, and then I went to the VA to replace my defibrillator because they said the leads were bad. So that means they had to do everything over, the total surgery again. Well, doing surgery, they hit my tricuspid valve, which is right next to the aorta.
Oh my goodness.
And the doctor told my wife, he said, well, if he'd have hit his neighbor, he'd have been, psh. Yeah, I would have been out of here. So God's been with me, Larry. I mean, just truly, I mean, I'm blessed. Yep.
Wow. I want you to stay around. I get selfish with my interviews. I I don't want you to go anywhere.
Well, I like to tell the story. I like to tell people how good God is. Look at me and what God's done for me. He can do the same thing for you.
Yeah.
You just live right, okay? And he'll do it for you. Live right, he'll do it for you. You live wrong, don't expect anything. But some
So
people...
how long has your wife been gone?
11 months,
Not too
and
long.
on July 25th.
Is she buried in Apollo Beach, or?
She's buried in Sarasota, Florida, at the Veteran Cemetery.
Sarasota.
Yeah.
Is that a national cemetery?
Yes, it is.
Are you going to be there someday?
Someday, if they decide to put me there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm got a place for me already. They just have to turn the stone around and put my name on it.
Oh man.
Yeah, but they
You don't
bury
want
you
him
like
to
that.
go, do you?
Yeah.
Come on. We don't want him to go.
Well, my daughter says
103?
Yeah, she says 103. So.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Because I was thinking, if we wait another 17 years, you'll be 95. So.
Oh, okay. I can handle that. We do another 17. I'll take the 17 years.
I feel bad it's been so long, but I'll be honest, it's hard. All the work I've done over the years, I've lost so many veterans.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it's the
Okay.
first and last time I'll ever see them when I interview them.
Right.
But there's people like you and others that I've continued on with. But that's the hardest part about my work, is losing all these veterans.
Yeah.
I mean, the World War II veterans are pretty much gone. A lot of the Korean veterans, and I've lost a lot of Vietnam veterans too. So.
Yeah, because of Agent Orange.
In their
probably.
70s.
Yeah, Agent Orange, man. And a lot of them don't know they have it, and they still don't. And it just pops up on you. You don't know what vital organ it's going to hit. And unfortunately, like I said, it hit my lung. It probably hit my lung, but that wasn't part of the story at all, because I didn't know anything about Agent Orange back then in the 1970s. So that's probably what caused it, maybe. But again, and even in 95, I didn't know about it.
So just the fact that they used that, it was in the air maybe, and you guys were
You're
exposed
breathing.
to
Yeah,
that.
it's on the foliage and stuff too. So you go and brushing over.
So who gets blamed for that fault? The government?
Well, the government should get blamed for it, but nobody will take the blame. Nobody's going to admit to it
But maybe they didn't know it was bad.
I don't know. Possibility.
Hard.
Anything. Well, again, we're going to the Supreme Court now, right? They maybe, right, and they'd get out of it, right? There'd be 100 appeals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more question, and I think we're done. But just give me your thoughts about the state of our union now, the state of our country.
Right now, we're in bad shape. People are hurting. Gas prices are high. Food prices are high. Families can't do a lot of things together because they can't afford it. So our country's in bad shape. Our political situation is terrible in this country. You see more fights in Washington than you see on the street. Really, if you ever watch the Congress and the fights that go on, it's ridiculous. That's not what it was supposed to be. And my thing was, I know you got a good side, bad side, that kind of a thing, You got R on one side, D on the other side. But all 50 Ds don't think the same. You got to go along with it. If you don't go along with it, they put you in a corner. You don't make it long in Washington. And that's the sad part about it. So, and we have common sense. We know what's right and what's wrong. And some of the things that you vote on up there, it's wrong. All the publics know it's wrong, but your congressman voted for it. Why? Because he was told, you better vote that way. Their little caucus, they get together and they do all this stuff. So it makes our country in bad shape. We have to govern, and they're not governing now. They're fighting more than they are now, and they're picking sides. And we talk about a president now, and I got 20 supporters, 20 governors, which has happened, that support me. So I'm good now, even though I can't think well, but I got 20 governors, and these other 20 is telling the other governors, you got to vote for this guy, or you got to back him, right? Well, how can you back something that you can see? You see a car getting ready to wreck. Guess what? It's going to be a wreck one day. So no, we're in sad shape right now.
I see what you guys fought against, the communism, is in this country, and it's trying to take over.
Yeah.
So we're kind of fighting the same thing that you fought in Vietnam right now, or Korea.
Yeah. It's just in a different way because you're fighting now, and it's just about, it's little petty things, some of it. It's not really major stuff that they're fighting over. But they're fighting everything now, abortion, everything they're fighting about. Things that was already settled before, but it pops up again. They're changing laws, but again, if the Supreme Court says it's wrong, one of the R or the D is going to say, no, we don't like that, Supreme Court. Right? One of them said they're going to impeach.
Yeah, I saw that.
Really? Okay, yeah.
It's I don't even have adjectives to describe how ridiculous this is anymore. I mean, you don't have to be that smart to see it.
Yeah,
figure
that's what
it
I'm
out.
saying. You don't have to be smart
know?
to see all the stuff that goes on up there now.
Yeah.
I saw two ladies go at it one day, and they went at it. I mean, you thought it was an alley fight, man. Two cats. Really.
You know, when I've traveled, and I don't travel much anymore because I've done so much of it, but I was in Dallas, Fort Worth for 3 hours yesterday.
Really?
And
Wow.
people just,
Yep.
it never changes. Coming and going, all kinds of people from all over the world. And my thought is, how many people are thinking about God right now? How many people are living for the Lord? It seems like the world's pull is really strong, just to go the way of the world. And I'm thinking, I felt very alone in that airport with thousands
Yeah,
of
because
people.
they have a focus on one thing, my next destination.
Yeah,
and it
it's
wasn't
just-
heaven,
No.
right? How fast am I going to get? Is my plane going to be late or all this stuff?
Just the Bible talks about being distracted by the age. You know, we're just so distracted as people. But it was sad to me. But I just praying and saying, Lord, my goodness, you know,
That's all you can do is pray.
Yeah.
Nowadays, that's all you can do is pray for. Pray for this country and pray for the other countries that really have some major problems, you know. And the young people, that's the ones going to get hit hard.
well, less than today's the 5th. No, 4 months from today is the election day, November 5th.
Yep.
I mean, I get chills just saying that because it's going to change probably the world.
It's going to change.
Whatever happens.
Yep. One way or the other, it's going to change.
Whew.
Yeah.
It's almost I want to hide, man.
Yeah.
But
I
wow.
mean, the young people
Is
can't
this
hide.
a conservative state, Florida, pretty much, DeSantis?
Yeah, yeah. It's conservative, yeah. What we're in Cocoa, yeah.
Yeah.
This corridor up here, Orlando, on the area they call the Villages, probably on all the way up into the Panhandle, would be conservative. Down south is not,
Yeah.
right? Down south is the other direction.
But Florida has a lot of electoral votes. I mean, they only have like 40 or
yeah,
something.
they got a
There's
few.
lot.
We have a few, yeah.
Yeah,
But
so-
right now, it's been R for a long time. I don't think it's going to change.
I better stop because someone's going to complain that we're talking politics, but I don't care. But
Yeah. It's part of living,
yeah.
part of our life.
Well, this is the best part of my interviews. Everybody talks about the ending of my
The
interviews,
ending?
but
Okay.
You know what I'm going to ask?
Yeah, I know. I don't remember,
Okay.
but go ahead.
Well, I'm going to ask you to salute into the camera.
Right.
You're not saluting me, but when I ask you, I want you to look right into the lens, though. Don't look at me.
Oh, okay.
If you're going to situate yourself, just give me a second to refocus here, because this is important to me. And so many people comment on the salutes. They just love it. So when you're ready, if you want to say something, fine, just give a salute into the camera.
God bless.
Amen. Now just stay there. I'm going to get a picture of us, so just stay right there, okay?
Okay.
Okay. You did pretty good, man.
Thank you.
Your memory's right there.
I had a doctor tell me I was losing it.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm serious.
right in front of him. She says to my mom on FaceTime,
What
your
was
husband has got dementia.
what was the basis for that? Seriously?
Because he didn't remember a doctor out of all of the 95 doctors.
Well, what I was telling you, I was when I was in the hospital for like 20 days.
Right.
Evaluation.
Right?
And like my daughter was saying, it's like doctor after doctor after doctor, right? And because I couldn't remember a guy named John or a doctor named John.
Doctor.
One doctor.
And named John too. How many Johns are they?
Right.
Right? And that's what she made it to me. Yeah.
Well, I'd have to disagree.
His mind is as sharp comes.
Well, I can tell. I mean, just the questions I was asking him, I don't understand that. But I'm going to sit here with you.
Okay.
This is one thing that I wish I would have done when I started my work 21 years ago, is I would have sat down with every veteran and shake their hand. I want to thank you for your service, brother.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for your service to our God and your faith. You're an inspiration to me. And I just can't tell you how excited I was that you're going to be here today.
Well, thank you, and thank you very much for what work you're doing.
Well, I appreciate it.
And God bless you, Larry.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna take a picture of us. So we're just gonna look in the camera because I can take a picture off of this.
Oh, okay.
So when I count to 3, just give a smile in that lens.
Okay.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Right, brother.
Very good, sir.
You did good.
Thank you.